1 year ago in Colorado, I set out to capture my life in a way that I hadn't done so before. The challenge was to compile my 2018 in a series of 1-second clips, 365 in total. I live such an amazing and beautiful life that's constantly filled with new friends, adventures, and memories. And these represent change within my life. These changes are the catalysts that push me out of my comfort zone. They're the stimuli that force me to become a better version of myself. They're the perpetuators of my personal growth and development. So as we wrap up each and every year, I reflect on my prior 365 days. I look to all the friends I've made, the adventures I've traveled, and the risks I've taken. In essence, all the change that I've embraced. And I focused on how this has allowed me to grow up, to become a better version of myself. And that brings me to the question, how in any way could the next year be any better than the last? I'm always surprised what answers this question brings, because each and every year I've lived has surpassed the one preceding it. So I set out on this journey, a journey to capture my life in its most raw and intimate sense. One that isn't bogged down by over-edited pictures or witty captions, just life, plain and simple. So I could capture the people, the travels, and the milestones that have made my year so special. So here's to everyone who impacted me, challenged me, and made me strive to become the best version of myself that 2018 could bring. And here's to everyone that will do the same to make 2019 even better. The year started out by flying to Baltimore to see a girl that I met on the internet 2 weeks prior. Yep, this does sound like the beginning of a catfish story. Fortunately for me, it wasn't. This relationship taught me more than I could have imagined in such a short period of time. I learned of my strengths and of my weaknesses. I learned how to serve another person, and I learned what it means to sacrifice. I will be forever grateful for this relationship and everything that it taught me to allow me to become the man I am today because of it. Thank you, Jess, for everything that you've helped me learn.
To you. Happy birthday.
February seemed to come and go quicker than any month of the year, but the milestones from this month were unmatched. First, I submitted my final design project, with the help of my partner Mark Vandenberg, to the AICHE National Competition. This is the true coming-of-age story for any chemical engineer. My second major milestone of the month was hosting the Symposium Day for the Chemical Engineering and Material Science departments, with the help of my partner Dan Whalen, where my sister was the keynote speaker. The time, effort, and literal tears put into design and symposium resulted in two of the largest accomplishments in my career as a chemical engineer. Special thanks to everyone who helped bring these to fruition. March was a month of true friendship. Adam, I cannot thank you enough for coming on ASB with me this year. Your ability to make people laugh, myself included, is unmatched. I will always appreciate our late night talks and listening to your crazy ideas. You are the mark of a true friend. Andy and Keenan, thank you both for leading this trip and allowing it to become so special. March also showed me the true generosity of my friends, like the Triongans for opening up their house to me for the night, Deanna and Maura for helping me celebrate my first St. Patrick's Day at Michigan State, and Ahmed and Salam for inviting me over for a true, authentic Mediterranean dinner. Miranda, thanks for always entertaining me in the law library, and Franzi for being down for our adventures. Thank you all for showing me your friendship this March. April started off by celebrating Easter in Denver with my family, as well as the added company of Leaf and Amy. I never get sick of these guys. Travels continued to Chicago, where I met Taylor after she casually mentioned not being able to eat meat on a Friday. Every Catholic's Achilles heel. From there, our friendship sparked. April did have a few lowlights though. I tore my ACL and meniscus playing IM volleyball. Rolling on the ground in pain, knowing that my ligament was torn, I got back up and finished the game. We lost. But the highlights surpassed the lowlights. I visited my friends at Notre Dame and got my first taste of Pentecostal. Mom won the Heart of the Community Award from United Way, and I participated in my last chemical engineering exams, and bar crawl. If I had to summarize April in one sentence, it would be you win some, you learn some. May also called for adventures to foreign lands. Cindy, Kate, and I spent a few days exploring Havana, Cuba. This trip showed me how simply the Cuban people live and made me appreciate everything that I have back home. Cindy and Kate, thank you for your generosity and friendship during this trip. While my biggest accomplishment in May was graduating from Michigan State with my degree in chemical engineering, I'd be a liar if I didn't admit to how hard many of the goodbyes were. The friends that I made in my 4 years at MSU, especially within the communities of St. John's and chemical engineering, made my final goodbyes all the harder, but I wouldn't have asked for it in any other way. East Lansing will always have a part of my heart. Special thanks to my favorite Merkle for your thoughtful graduation gift. PL's M forever. June was off to a fun start, having a boys' weekend at the lake before Leaf took off for pilot school. Best of luck in Oklahoma, Maverick. The remainder of the month was fairly slow. I finally had ACL reconstruction surgery and had to be non-weight bearing for 5 weeks. This was a huge pain in the butt, but I watched almost every game of the World Cup since I was crutch-ridden for so long. The end of June also resulted in Matt Gaugh's graduation party. It's hard to believe that he's already at MSU, following in my footsteps by studying chemical engineering. Matt, we're gonna have some major problems if you switch majors. But best of luck on your remaining 7 to 9 semesters, and go green. July picked up since I was, to some extent, finally mobile again. It began with one of the most fun days that summer, a brewery crawl with Matt and Ryan in Grand Rapids. Many of the remaining July days were spent on the boat with Dexter. There are few things greater than spending time alone with my dog in the middle of a lake with no worries in the world. One of my fondest memories of July was crashing a wedding at Cindy's +1. Turns out it was a pretty intimate ordeal. I'd say we were 2 of the 60 total guests. I stood out like a sore thumb by wearing my salmon-colored blazer, but all in all, we had a great time. Congrats to the happy couple, John and Liz. July came to an end with my solo trip to Italy, seeing Rome and Florence. One of my favorite memories here was meeting up with Claire at Trevi Fountain. Next gelato's on me, Claire. Horns up. August began with the unsexy part of traveling. It took me 3 days to get home from Rome. After brief stops in England and Amsterdam, I finally touched down in Detroit. I never thought I'd see the day. To celebrate my 23rd birthday, Evan and I went to Chick-fil-A for lunch. I paid for my meal. Evan, I'm never gonna let you live this down. As the dog days of August winded down, I spent the time hanging out with my friends and family. This was a relaxing way to finish my summer of no responsibilities and no worries before starting my first full-time job at Accenture at the end of August. By the way, I also got the entire Accenture Start class to sing along to Darius Rucker's rendition of Wagon Wheel at karaoke night. This officially cemented Wagon Wheel as a bar banger. September held many great memories. Well, memorable ones at least. The one that makes people laugh the most was my infamous 3rd date at Ellison Brewery. After telling me she wouldn't go into the brewery, I called her bluff and waited for her inside. Much to my surprise, she Ubered home. We haven't talked since. While I do think it was dramatic to Uber home in the middle of a date, I respect her will and her ability to see her vision through. September also included building a great friendship with Stuart, thanks to Accenture. We got to spend a lot of time doing university recruiting at Michigan and Michigan State. September came to a close in South Bend as I got to experience a night of fun drinking and bowling at Notre Dame with JP, Jordan, Sean, Joe, and Jenny. Paul was also there in spirit. Go Irish! In October, my grandmother turned 90 years old. We celebrated in fashion at the Saginaw Olive Garden. Grandma, congratulations on your 90th year. A close second to Grandma turning 90 was getting staffed on my first project. I also got to add Chicago to the list of cities that I've lived. I spent the remainder of 2018 splitting my time between downtown Chicago during the week and Michigan during the weekend. October was also a month of strong friendships. Jeff and Renee, it's been too long. Thank you for giving me some of your limited time while you were home. I will always value and appreciate our deep friendships. Kendra, thank you for your immediate friendship and making my transition to Chicago so easy. Don't forget that you're a superstar. And Franzi, I'm so proud of you for living your dream in Aspen, and congratulations on getting accepted into such a prestigious PhD program. November began by visiting Kevin and Singy in Seattle with Leaf, who is part of the troops. Here's to taking trips to avoid being lonely adults. I also got to see Hamilton, which 117% lived up to expectations. Taylor, thank you for being open to last-second plans. November also resulted in 2 chicken dinners. First, the extended Addams family took a trip to Essence House for Kyle's birthday. Then, the Midland Addams family took a trip during Thanksgiving to Frankenmuth, where we partook in our annual tradition of visiting Bavarian Inn for the family-style dinner. This year, we triple-checked to make sure that the tip was 20%.
Katie Diller!
I'll do the dishes. Don't take a picture. What? You decide what you want.
December began with a visit to Allen Fieldhouse, home of the Kansas University Jayhawks. KU went to overtime with Stanford, which resulted in an electric crowd. While I love the Breslin Center, I think Allen Fieldhouse has us beat on atmosphere. 2 weeks later, I was back in Kansas City. This time, the excitement didn't come from a basketball game. While taking a lift from Katie's apartment to downtown Kansas City, our driver veered into another car on the highway and proceeded to drop us off. Luckily, nobody was injured in this accident. Special thanks to Andy Peckera for being my roommate in Chicago for a week, and best of luck to Courtney for moving all the way to Spain to teach English. I know you'll find success. It's only fitting that 2018 ended the same way as 2017, spending time in Denver with Matt and Janae. As I reflect on this year, filled with such milestones of success, with travels across the world, with kindling new friendships and reconnecting with old, and with growth in character and in leadership, I find myself saying the same thing I have every year before. This year was the best one yet. Thanks to all of you for making it so special. I know that next year, I'll say the same.